All right, everybody, we are here with Mike Beast Boy Davis from the UFC. He's a 10-2 professional mixed martial artist. Won the 2019 Tiger Muay Thai Tryouts, if I'm saying that correctly, and one of the best strikers out there. So how are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing really good. Feeling good. I coming off a win, so I'm enjoying my life a little bit. Been a lot, really busy since the fight, but
Right, and
hanging
your
out.
last fight came out over Vyacheslav Borshev, where you won that decision. What was it about Vyacheslav Borshev that you felt like you had to implement that wrestling? Was that a game plan going in? Was that something that was kind of on the fly? You decided like, hey, I have to adjust and start to wrestle, or was that just the game plan all along?
My coaches watched his fight against Mark, and they're like, "This kid can't wrestle, so I don't care if you can strike. I don't care what you can do in there. You're gonna wrestle him." And I was like, whatever, okay.
And we know we've seen your other fights on the Contender series. You had that decision loss against Sadiq Youssef, but it was a back and forth battle. One of the best fights. Everybody said one of the best fights in Contender series history. You guys went back and forth. And, in that fight against Mason Jones, I mean, you guys were just going balls to the wall, throwing everything but the kitchen sink at each other. And was there a point in that fight where you were almost going to dictate away from the game plan and be like, hey, I'm just going to start throwing at this motherfucker? You know what I mean?
To Mason Jones?
No, for Vyacheslav Borshev, I'm sorry.
Oh no. I was gonna stick to the game plan just because it was easy. It was so easy.
Do you feel like that? Go ahead, keep
My
going.
bad. So when I took him down in the first round, he felt like a white belt, like a child to me. I was like, oh my god, I'm taking down every round. I'll just do this for 3 rounds. So I just kept to it. The second round, I started choking on water. So for a little bit of the fight, I was just like trying to get my wind back, trying to feel normal. So I stayed on the feet a lot, and it was bad because my timing was really off. So I just when I took him down, I knew.
Right. So would you say that he was like one of the easiest people you've had to take down? And I don't mean that like in training and everything, but once you got the takedowns, were you just like, oh my God, like I could do this all day, you know?
Oh yeah.
And
Well, I do have good wrestling, and I never ever use my wrestling, but I have really good wrestling, and I feel like after seeing what I can do with it in that cage, I might start implementing my wrestling a lot more.
Yeah, no, it was definitely, you could see right from the get-go, like there was no takedown defense. Once you got him on the floor, you had him in mount. I honestly thought you were going to finish the fight in the first
I
round, I
too.
believe, when you had him in the mount and you were just pounding
Yeah,
away on him. I'm like, and I had bet on you that night. And I don't like to talk about bets with fighters because, anybody who bets on fights, that's your discretion. It doesn't matter. And I hate people who, like, if the person they bet on loses, they'll go after the fighter and be like, oh,
they do that a lot.
yeah, I put a bunch of money on you, whatever. It's like, dude, you don't got the balls to step in there. Like, if they lose, they lose. You picked who you picked, but I had you by decision, and I was watching the fight, and
Uh,
I'm like, come on, please don't finish him yet. But I was like, oh, but I knew you were gonna get it done. I know a lot of people going into that fight, I feel like we're riding heavy on Vyacheslav because of the Team Alpha Male and everything, and his ties to Uriah Faber. But
yeah,
man,
they were
just
talking about how ever since the Mark fight, he's been nonstop wrestling against like high level wrestlers and black belts and this and that. So he wasn't going to get handled in the fight. They said his takedown defense would be there, and it just wasn't.
Yeah, man, it was and we'll go back to the Mason Jones fight. What did you feel like during that fight? Like, did you feel like you were up on the scorecards? Did you feel like it was a coin flip? Like, what did that fight feel like as an experience overall?
Well, I felt like he wasn't hitting me a lot. He hit me. He definitely hit me, but I feel like when I was in there, I wasn't getting hit too much. But he was always coming forward. I knew that I didn't look like I was fighting back. That's what it felt like to me. So when the scorecard finally came up, I thought that it was a big toss up because he had a lot of aggression in the fight.
Mhm.
So he looked like he could have been winning the whole fight.
Right. Yeah, it was back and forth. I actually just rewatched it last night before the interview because I was like, I gotta go back and check that fight out again. And man, you're I feel like there were a lot of points in that fight where it looked like his shots were landing, but you were just slipping just ever so slightly
Yeah,
right out of the way. Like it looked like it might have landed, but when you go back and actually like look at it, a lot of them didn't land.
that's what I mean. Very slight, very slight misses, but because his output was so high, I was kind of afraid that the judges would score against me.
Yeah, well, do you have anybody in mind for your next fight? Because I know you don't have a fight booked currently. I know there was a couple fights that you had booked in the past that had gotten canceled, and there was some injuries and stuff between the camps. But was there anybody in particular that you have in mind in your division where you're like, if I could get this guy next, like that's who I want?
Not entirely. I always get a call from management, not a call, but I like text, so I told him to text me. But he'll text me a name, and it's always just one name, and I'm just like, I don't know who that is. I don't care. I just take fights.
Yeah, you had a fight booked against Giga Chikadze at one point. I think
Yeah,
it might have actually been booked twice, if I remember, but
twice.
I could be wrong. Okay, and going into that fight, like, were you in camp when that fight had gotten, pulled out, or did you not get the chance to start training for it, or how did that all come together?
Which one?
The We'll do it with the last one, the most recent one.
Though that was for May in Jacksonville,
Mm-hmm.
and that was when COVID started. They shut everything down, and I knew, well, COVID. I couldn't train. My whole gym shut down, so I gained weight. I was just chilling. I was just eating and hanging out for a couple weeks. They said that he needed an opponent. I was like, I can't believe they're still fighting. They're still gonna have these cards. So I was like, yeah, I'll fight at 145. And then he texted me after. He's like 145. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll try it. Whatever. I had 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks to make 45. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't even get close. Like I was 180. I was 180 when they called me for the fight, and I was like, I can do that. It's whatever. I think a couple days of running. Let me get out in the sun. I think my weight will shed down to normal weight because I've just been eating all day. And then we get to Jacksonville. I'm cutting weight. I'm hitting pads. I'm outside running in a sauna suit in the heat, sun, and it's May. Check my weight, like 158. I was like, yo, what? Go to sleep, wake up, do pads, run again, 158. I was like, nope, this ain't moving. I was like, I'm not doing it. Like at that point, I was like, I just don't want to do it. So I called the doctor, and he said, honestly, by the way you look right now, you're not gonna make a 45, and you're gonna hurt yourself. I barely made 55. This is just a weird experience for me.
Have you ever had that happen before where like you had the weight and you keep working out, you're running, you're hitting pads, you're hitting the bag, and the weight just doesn't come off? Like, what does that feel
No,
like when you're like, oh my God, I'm doing all this work and nothing's happening?
it's terrible. And when that happens, you have to take like a day to reset. So your body's kind of like holding on to everything for survival. You got to take a day. You got to drink a little bit. You got to eat a little bit and show your body that you're not going to starve and die. So it'll keep going.
Well, why do you think that happens with fighters where they'll, let's say, like you said, you're cutting down to 45 and you just can't get past 58. You keep working out, you keep running, and it just doesn't work. Why do you think that happens? You think your body's just like, yo, chill out?
Yep. Either you lose weight too fast or you're losing too much weight, and your body's response is just going to stop.
We'll talk a little bit about your training camp with Fusion Excel. You train out at Fusion Excel, correct?
Yes.
And who would you say are some of your most beneficial training partners? Like, I know you probably have a bunch that you work with on a daily basis, every week, every day, but is there any in particular that you're like, well, I know if I'm getting rounds in with this guy, like, it's going to be good work all the time?
Christian Lawson fights for PFL. He's fighting December 2nd for Icon here in Orlando. But he's really good. Surprising to the way that he fights, but he's really good. Who else? Angel Mercado, I think his name. He's super good. He gives me a lot of trouble. He's really good. Probably the same amount of grappling that I have, but he's good. He's not well known or anything yet. He's still coming up, but I think he's going to be a good fighter.
With Angel, is he amateur right now, a pro? Like, who does he fight for?
I think he's a pro. He fights for Combat Night right now. Little small organization.
Okay. I'd like to touch a little bit on your coming up in the sport, coming up in a different sport, actually, in boxing. You used to work with Customato. You came from the famous Customato gym. What was that like working with one of the most famous trainers in boxing? Like, and not only that, but the difference between boxing gyms and MMA gyms or Thai gyms. Like, I feel like that's something that people don't touch on enough. Like, a boxing gym, most of the time when you go in there for sparring, like, it's not a spar, it's a fight. With MMA, I feel like it's a little bit more controlled. But coming up with Customato, just walk me through that and like how beneficial that was for you.
Well, essentially, I was brought into Customatos to defend myself. I had no intention of fighting. So I would be there. Kevin Rooney would teach me basics every day. He'd show me, I didn't even know how to jump rope. He showed me how to jump rope, showed me how to move my feet, showed me how to throw proper punches. I've never sparred with Kevin Rooney. I was never allowed to spar. Even I trained with him for like 8 months and I still couldn't spar. He wouldn't let me in the ring. So just bag work, running, jump rope, learning the fundamentals of peekaboo style boxing. And then I started working with Leonard Pierre and Ernest Westbrook. There are two other coaches there. And they started moving me a little more, a little different, being more fluid. And eventually I just made the switch, but I never boxed with Customatos. I never took a fight, nothing. I just grew up down the road, like 10 miles from the gym. So I'd ride my bike there, I'd train, I'd learn, and then I'd go home.
Man, that's kind of crazy. I didn't think that, but so you never got to get in the ring and spar or anything. It was more just building the fundamentals and like getting everything together.
Yeah, I never sparred.
Was that
I trained there for a while too, for years, and I just never sparred.
Was that frustrating for you at all? Like doing this over and over and over again for years and just not being able to get in there? Or did you
I don't think so, because I was always afraid of confrontation. Growing up my whole life, I've always been afraid of confrontation. So for me to spar, and I would watch other people spar. Like there are some kids there, Kevin Rooney's son. They were all sparring and they hit hard. You'd see like people get hurt, and I was like, nah, it's not for me. I don't want to do that. So I never wanted to spar. I just did it so I knew how to box. So the people at the school, because I was tiny, would leave me alone.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say you were afraid of confrontation. I guess we can kind of put that into your fights now where you're just going, balls to the wall, going at it and, mixing up the game very well. Do you still have that fear before you get into the cage? Like, I know everybody has fight day fear or fight day jitters, but is that something that still affects you to this day, like getting ready to go into a cage?
I feel like fighters feel that the minute that someone shows them a name, that's when their jitters will hit. Like when I get a text message from my manager and he's like, "This is who they offered you," and then my body's like, "Oh shit." But when it comes down to the fight, I feel like my skill set is very, very high. So whether I'm in the cage, it doesn't really feel like anything. Most of the time, I'm talking to the opponent's coach. Like when I fought Slava, I was talking to Uriah Faber in the middle of the fight. He was telling Slava stuff, and I was like, "It's not gonna work. That's yada yada. My hands are up." And I was just talking to him.
Yeah, I know there was a point in the fight where your coaches, you were pounding them on the ground, and they yelled out the Hadouken. And I know you're a big video game fan. Like when you heard that, I don't know if you noticed it during the fight. You didn't hear it?
No, I didn't hear it. So after the fight, I watched through, and I think he put up that. No. I was just watching the part where I dropped him. I was trying to find a little clip that I could post. So I was trying to find that clip, and then when I was listening to it, I heard that in the background, and I had to raise the volume up. But yeah, It was funny. That was the corner that paid to be in my corner.
Oh yeah, you
I
said
got
you
yeah,
like 10 grand, right? You paid ten
yeah,
grand to be with you.
yeah. But he said it's worth it 100%. He said it's
Right.
worth way more than 10 grand.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't think people understand like what fight week is like, what cutting weight
Oh,
is
this is
like.
yeah.
And it's like
Which
to
is cool
be
that I had someone random that's just the huge fan of MMA. Someone that just every day wakes up, they like to watch the fights. He was able to show up. He got picked up from the airport by the UFC, brought to the hotel, stayed with me in the hotel. Um, he got to come out and explore Las Vegas with me. We got to eat a bunch of food, buy, shop. Then we took long walks. Then he got to watch me. He got to come to the PI where he met literally every fighter you can think of. There's so many fighters there. They're
Mhm.
always there. He got to watch us train. He got to train with us. He got to cut weight with me. He was in the sauna. He got to experience what it feels like to be stuck in the sauna for like 30 minutes at a time. So he got to feel all that. Then he got to do the walkout. He got to sit cage side, like touch the cage. You're that close to the cage. At an event that was bought out by Mark Zuckerberg. So that's like that makes it super worth it. That's
Hey,
crazy.
when you got the money, I guess you could do whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit about the Tiger Muay Thai tryouts. We'll go back to it.
Yeah.
You won in 2019. And, you know, those videos are online. Anybody can go back and watch those tryouts. You can watch other years' tryouts. And I would say it looks like one of the most intense, like, overall combat sports martial arts experiences that anybody could go through. But going into that training camp, going into those tryouts, how much experience did you have going into those? And not only that, like, how different was that for you when you eventually stepped out there and were like, you know, holy shit, I'm here?
For Thailand, I was kind of like a whim. I didn't really have experience with anything of that nature. I was messaged by a friend who was taking a vacation in Thailand. He wasn't even training. And he texted me and said, "There's this gym here, Tiger Muay Thai. They're like one of the most prestigious gyms in the whole country." So he said, "They're having tryouts. They do it every year. You should apply." And this was after the applications were closed.
Mm.
And they're like, but the application was still online. So I was like, "Yeah, I'll fill it out." This was like 2 weeks or a week and a half after the application closed. And they still accepted me. When they posted the winners or the people they selected, and I was scrolling through, I saw my name. I saw my name twice, but one of them was from USA and one of them wasn't. And that USA one was me. I didn't know. So I did a GoFundMe. People paid. I made like, oh my God, I think I made like $3,000 something off the GoFundMe. Paid for my flight, all the stuff I did there, and it was great. And then when I got there, the training mentality from Thailand is crazy. Like it's a lot.
Yeah, I actually got to talk with George and Frank Hickman out from
Yeah, I like
Tiger
them.
Muay Thai.
The wrestling coaches.
Yeah, yeah. And dude, it's like if you go back and you watch those highlights, because you can see the highlights of you with the sparring, with the pad holding, with everything that went on during those tryouts. You know, if you watch the sparring clips of you going at it with the guys out there, you would never think that that was on a whim. It looked like you were getting ready, it looked like you were prepared for it. Like, to hear that it
Hell
was on
no.
a whim is crazy.
Yeah, I had no idea it was even a thing. I've never in my life thought about going to Thailand. Never. And then they're like, "Hey, Mike, go do these tryouts." It's like, "Where are they?" "Thailand." It's like, "Oh, okay." I didn't know how long it would take to get there either. My God, I was on the plane for so long.
The jet lag was real, huh?
Oh, so bad.
Is that something that you would want to revisit? Like, would you want to go back out
Yes.
to Thailand? Yeah?
Yeah, as soon as I can. We already have plans for next year to go back out there, meet a couple of the fighters, just for training purposes. But I'm excited to go back.
Yeah, man, I can only imagine. Like like I said, I've talked to you. I've talked to the Hickman brothers. Like, just hearing them explain it. They talked a lot about Loma Lukbunmi, who works out there. And it's like, dude, just hearing the experience, it's like, even if you don't go there to train, like, just going there as a fan and, like, watching them work out and watching them put their work in, like, it's got to be like a once in a lifetime experience,
Oh yeah,
especially out
but
there.
Thailand itself is a place to be. Everything, especially if you have American currency, you're super wealthy there. You do anything you want, literally anything you want.
How big of a difference is it? Like you said, like you're basically rich there. So when you went there, where
Yeah,
you're like, man, I could, like you said, you could do whatever you want. Was it
you
like
can
just
do
an eye
whatever you
opener?
want. Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of rules and laws, kind of systems, a lot of stuff in place that you gotta respect as a new country, as a different country. But with the amount of money that you have as an American, um, everyone there speaks English because they need our currency. So they all learn English so they can talk to us and get money from us. So it's interesting. You do feel very powerful in Thailand.
Man, that's yeah, I could just like I don't know, that's always been something I've been interested in doing. I mean, I'm obviously not gonna go to the tryouts or anything like that, but just being out there, like even if you could just work out with the gym for like one day, like even if
Yeah.
it's not tryouts and you just go in there, it's like I could just like it's just even if you watch the tryouts online, like you could just see the different mentality. Like you go in there like you're going in there, you ain't gonna come out the same, you know?
No, no, you learn a lot too.
I guess we'll talk.
Especially yeah, especially through the tryouts because the tryouts are designed to break you. They want to see how tough you are. So from start to finish, they're just trying to push people so hard that they quit. So they only have a select few left, and it works. They got rid of I forgot how many we started with, like 120 or something like that. And by the end of it, there only have 40 people left. And they chose 8.
So at the end, when you get the contracts, there was 8 people who got the contracts.
Yeah. Well, there was a number 1 pick for Muay Thai and MMA, and then the rest were people they wanted to see improve.
And then, is it true that after like your last thing with the training, they do like a Muay Thai fight, right? Is it between?
Oh yeah. The last day they have a party,
Okay,
and from the party they choose 2 fighters that they have to pick from because they only wanted 8 to be chosen.
okay,
So this was for the 8th spot, and one fighter they didn't know who to pick, so they just made him fight, and whoever won that got picked.
man, it's like that old school mentality back when it's like, hey, you two got beef, like let's go in the boxing ring and figure it out.
Yeah, I
Uh,
like it. Everything they do there is fun. I like it.
Right. Is there any gyms out here? I mean, you got some top level gyms in MMA. You got Fortis MMA. You got American Top Team. You've got, you
Excuse me.
know, you name it. There's a high level gym for MMA in one
Yeah.
city, one state, whatever. Is there any gyms in particular that maybe you haven't gone to yet, haven't been able to work with anybody from there yet, or a coach in particular where you're like, if I could step out there or go out there, this is where I'd want to be?
Mm, There's no place that I really want to be since I like everybody has little tiny things that I can take. So there's no one place I want to be stuck to. I know in Colorado it's Ludwig,
Mm-hmm.
right? I would like to
Mm-hmm.
learn from him. I would like to train at Greg Jackson's.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to go there and just have some training. I know it's more of a fight camp gym, just like American Top Team, but I would like to go there and get some training. I did look at Fortis because I have um in my head that I want to move to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Probably next year, 2024.
Okay.
But I'm gonna do one more year here in Orlando. Um, there's a whole bunch, and then I talked to Uriah. Uriah wants me to come and check out his gym out in Sacramento. So
Mm-hmm.
I would love to do all that. I just don't want to be
Right.
stuck at one gym. So when a gym starts to turn really political, I kind of bail a little bit.
Right. So you kind of are just like, I'm gonna take a little bit from here, I'm gonna take a little bit from
Yeah.
here, a little bit from here, and then you just build together the ultimate martial artist, pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah, I guess we could talk about a little bit about because you're a mixed martial artist, but you like to strike. It seems like you use your grappling a lot more now, but I feel like if you had the choice, you would want to stand up and strike. Is that correct?
Yeah. Most of the time, I'll just stay on the feet until you decide to try and shoot on me because you can't handle it.
Right. So if we were going to talk about a fight that really embodied striking and the highest levels of striking in MMA, it would probably have to be the main event that just took place a few weeks ago between Pereira and Adesanya. I mean, what were your thoughts on that fight altogether? Like, who did you have going into it? How the fight played out? Like, what did you think about it?
I had Alex winning because I've been to his gym. I've trained with Glover many times. And his boxing coaches, I know how they train up there. It's very good. I did think that Adesanya was going to utilize more wrestling, probably take him down, probably like he should have. But then once I saw him shoot, I noticed that he has no wrestling at all. So I figured that that's over then. But when he rocked him in the first round, kind of opened your eyes. I mean, anything can happen to anybody. But after that, once you just keep watching the fight and noticing that nobody could take each other down and it was just going to be on the feet the whole time, I just figured it was going to happen the same way it always does.
So you thought Alex was going to eventually catch him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Going into that fight, I had picked Alex, and I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, he's 6-1 in MMA, you know, this and that." And it's like, yeah, but he can use his wrestling. But for the most part, he's going to want to strike just like they did in kickboxing. So it's like, I basically looked at the fight like this, you know, and I feel like you looked at it the same way just from what you just said. It's basically, you know, Adesanya, he's got to be perfect for 25 minutes. Pereira's got to be perfect for like 1 or 2 exchanges. And I feel like that's kind of how the fight played out, because going into that 5th, Adesanya was probably up 3-1 going into the 5th. So it's like he had to just find that shot. It's crazy that he did it, and it's crazy he did it in the 5th round. But I mean, is that kind of what you thought going into it? Is that like he just has to find that one opening, but Adesanya has to fight tactical for the entirety of the fight?
I'm not sure. I get told that Alex has some crazy power, so to get clipped by that power, yeah, you're probably gonna hurt a little bit. Probably gonna take you off your feet. When it came to Izzy would get into these weird exchanges with him, and I don't know. I just felt like he should have wrestled. I just know he doesn't have the wrestling. That's it, and it just proved that he does not have wrestling at all.
Yeah.
So whoever fights Izzy next, if you want to beat him, wrestle that man. Like start. Hamzat would absolutely dismantle Izzy and Alex in the same night. He would fight them both and win both fights within 2 minutes.
In 2 minutes with both of them?
2 minutes. He would fight both of them, one after the other, and both people in under 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's I feel like we're gonna get this thing with Pereira where like he beat Adesanya, right? They might do a rematch. I'm sure they will, you know, or maybe not. Maybe they'll move on and they'll have Izzy do something else. But I feel like Pereira is not going to be the champion for that long, just because if he gets even a Marvin Vettori could take him down and just wreck him. Yeah, Marvin Vettori. I mean, I feel like if Kelvin Gastelum uses wrestling and was able to avoid the striking, he might be able to give, you know, Pereira a lot of trouble. Yeah. It's like, it's crazy because, you know, I had confidence in Pereira in this fight based on the stylistic matchup, which styles make fights. We hear it all the time. But it's crazy because like a guy who's ranked maybe in the top 8, 9, and 10 could go in and make Pereira look like he should be not even in the top 15 if he was a really solid wrestler.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dude, it's like, is there...
I saw while the fights were going on, I was watching the UFC's Twitch. Most of the time, I'm always on there. So they had Whitaker as a guest on Twitch. And I just think Whitaker would absolutely wreck Alex.
That's interesting, because honestly, I feel like Whitaker would want to strike a little bit more, and I feel like he'd get clipped. I don't know, like
maybe.
You think
I still can wreck him. He's too well rounded.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting fight. Like, if I could pick one fight I want to see Pereira do at middleweight, besides Adesanya, it would probably be Whitaker.
Yeah,
I think
Whitaker.
And then I think him and Paulo Costa would be pretty interesting. Like, stylistically, I think Costa would get knocked out, but I think Costa and Pereira would just bomb on each other like right away.
Probably.
We'll
And
talk
that's
about
something that fighters do a lot. Especially me, like me as well. I will go into a fight with, say a striker, and because you're a striker, I kind of want to strike with you. It's just like a let me prove or see that if I'm better or not.
yeah, it's kind of like that. You get your ego in the way a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you want to see like, hey, you're known as this. Maybe
Yeah, exactly.
the guy's known as having a really good left hook. You're like, okay, well, let's see how you like my left hook.
Exactly.
Is there any fight in particular coming up? It could be the next pay-per-view. It could be a fight night. Is there any fight in particular that's coming up soon that you are interested in? Like you're just waiting for a specific fight or no?
Waiting, not really. I am, because my teammate is Phil Rowe, so it's next weekend. It's a week from today. He'll be fighting. Oh my god, I always forget it. Nico Price. So that's going to be an interesting fight. And that is not make or break, but that's a make fight for Phil.
Mm-hmm.
Phil wins that fight and he's chilling. He's going to be in the talks.
Yeah,
so
man.
He's been working hard. He's kind of avoided everybody and focused really hard in this fight. So it's something I'm interested to see.
Would you say that Nico Price is a favorable matchup for Phil Rowe, or you think it's a tougher test than people may actually think?
I think it's favorable. Me personally, when I look at fights that my friends have, I always look and see if it's someone that I can beat. And I watched like 2 fights of Nico. I could beat Nico. I'm not big enough, but I can beat Nico.
Let's see. We'll talk into a little bit about your Twitch stuff. You stream on Twitch, you game, you do all this stuff. What really got you into wanting to do Twitch? Was there something in particular that got you to be like, you know what? I want to try my hand at this. I want to stream. I want to see how this goes.
The way that MMA can save your life, gaming can save your life. So I decided that I could try and reach out and use my fans to kind of bring friendship to a lot of more people using gaming. Gaming helped me when I was young. I didn't really have any friends, so the only friends I had were people I met online, people I met through Xbox, as an Xbox person. And every night I would go to school, come home, and jump right in the game because I knew that's where I had friends and where people I could talk to all day. So now, as an adult, it's still something I love to do. Especially, I mean, you got your group, you got your Discord. You just be like, "Hey, I'm jumping on. Who's on?" And then you get all these people that are like, "Yo, let's play this game," and you play until 1 a.m. every single day. So it's,
right.
It's fun. And then because I was playing games all the time, I figured I might as well stream because you can make an income through streaming. And so far, so good. I've only been streaming since July, and not religiously either because I took a month and so off so I could focus on that fight. But I'm gonna get back to it. I'm slowly increasing. I'm moving in January to have a full streaming room. So this you won't see my kitchen in the background anymore. It'll be a full on like Beast Boy neon sign and all kinds of. It'll be a gaming room.
Nice, man. Is there any game in particular that came out recently that you've like either you want to play that you haven't got the chance to yet, or one that you're just grinding on nonstop?
Warzone. It's always Warzone. Yeah, I play Warzone more than anything else. Interesting.
Yeah, my buddies are big into like Warzone and Call of Duty. Me personally, I'm fucking terrible at it. I am not good at Call of Duty.
It is hard, but you gotta be good.
I'm good at zombies in Call of Duty.
Okay.
That's it. You give me anything else, I'm gonna die. Like I'll be the guy that goes 3-20 in like a free for all.
I can't play the multiplayer. It's only the like battle royale. It's you and your 3 people, and you try to kill everyone else, but you get to loot, and that's fun to me. There's a game coming out in March called The Day Before.
Okay.
I'm super excited about that game.
What is that
That's
about?
like the only game. It's you ever play DayZ?
Yes. Yeah.
It's high graphic DayZ.
Oh, okay.
like Unreal Engine DayZ, really good graphics. Not like PUBG anymore. They're taking the PUBG graphics away from DayZ, bringing them to the real world.
Did you? I guess I'll talk about this a little bit since we're on the gaming topic. You know, do you play story-driven games or are you more
Yeah.
like action-driven games? That's
No,
what you like.
I bought Warzone strictly for the story, and not Warzone, Modern Warfare. I bought it for the story and waited until Warzone came out. But I love the story games. I have my PS5 still, and I use it just to play story games that are exclusive. I did not buy God of War yet. I might.
I was just about to ask you about that one.
Yet. I know, because it just came out.
Yeah. Yeah, God of War. I mean, I'm back on the 2018 one because I never beat it. And I'm like, I got to beat that before I play the new one because I feel like it's just, you can't just move to the next one. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. I played them all, so definitely caught up on all of them.
So are you a Sony guy? Are you a Microsoft? Are you both? What do you...
I'm a Sony person. I'm a PlayStation. But
Yeah,
I'm a PC gamer now, so.
right. So... did you ever play The Last of Us
That's the best game that's ever been made for PlayStation.
See, dude, that game, there was one point in the game where I couldn't get past it, and I kept trying, and I kept dying. But then once I got past that game, I was finally able to beat it, and it's like, dude, that game is just, it's like a perfect game. From start to finish, the story, everything, it's basically a perfect game.
It really is. You get invested into that game.
It'd be interesting. Did you play Last of Us Part 2?
Yeah, both of them.
See, I bought Last of Us Part 2, but I got to go back and finish it. But I know a lot of people didn't really enjoy the way that game ended. Like, what did you think about it?
It's yeah, I mean, the ending's kind of crap, but the game's good. They're always really good.
I guess we'll go back to fighting real quick before we end on the last few questions.
Weird.
You know, there's always that everybody has a message when it comes to fighting, whether it's boxing, whether it's kickboxing, you know. I feel like everybody looks for that internal message, and some people like to deliver their voice to the world through, you know, mixing up the martial arts. And if there was one message that you wanted to give somebody about MMA, whether it's competing, whether it's just training, is there anything in particular that you'd like to say to people about like starting a journey in martial arts or what martial arts has taught you as a human being?
My God, there's so much. So one thing I noticed martial arts has taught me is that you can't take life too seriously, and you have to have fun with everything you're given, regardless of if it hurts, if it is too much to handle. There's that as well. Martial arts has taught me that you can really go beyond your capabilities if you are being pushed to your limit and you just kind of dig down a little bit. You have like a whole nother limit, and people just don't know about it. They give up too easily, and I've learned that through martial arts, through discipline. Yeah, I feel like if you're going to start martial arts, one thing you got to know is that you're going to lose. You're not going to win everything. But as long as you are happy, you can laugh and have fun. It's kind of worth the journey. It's fun. You do have to take care of your body, though. Don't just go in and go restless nights and party and then train, because you're going to wear your body out really bad. So make sure you sleep. Make sure you eat a lot, like a lot. Take your supplements, and take care of your body.
Do you feel that diet is like the most important aspect of being a high level competitive martial artist?
No, I don't diet at all.
No?
I mean, right now I'm eating a lot better, but up until like my last fight, I ate so much candy, so much cereal, Pop Tarts. Like, I eat everything. None of it's good.
Yeah.
None. I just eat a lot of junk. And then after my recent fight, I decided to be a little healthier and see how I felt. I still feel like crap, but I feel a little better in a sense.
What's your favorite candy then? Come on, Mike. What's your favorite candy to eat?
Maybe I like Twizzlers personally.
Twizzlers? Okay.
Yeah, I like Twizzlers. Maybe not my
What's your
favorite, but it's the one I eat the most. Hot tamales. There you go. I like hot
Oh, okay.
tamales.
That's
Yep,
a good one. That's a good one. What's your
that's my favorite.
favorite fast food? I don't know if you're a big fast food guy. I don't know.
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A?
Yeah, but I don't really consider it fat because I can have healthy meals with that. So
Nice.
Chick-fil-A though, definitely Chick-fil-A.
I feel like, in this day and age, everybody loves Chick-fil-A. Like
Oh yeah.
everybody you talk
If
to,
you
they're
can
like,
get to a Chick-fil-A, you're gonna like Chick-fil-A.
right. I guess we'll wrap it up with one or two more questions.
Go
And
ahead.
that martial
That's
arts,
about all the time I have.
you said what?
I said that's good because that's about the time I have. There
Okay.
you going.
Well, I like that martial arts question. I guess I like the response you gave, but was there ever a time in martial arts and in training where you like, I wouldn't say you wanted to give up because I'm not going to use give up as a reason behind it, but was there ever a time in martial arts where like you just felt like you didn't want to keep on pushing, whether it was training camp, whether it was
Yeah.
before you fought, like was there ever a time where you were like, dude, I just don't want to do this anymore?
Yeah. Um, it happens the most when you get injured, especially if you get so badly injured that you can't fight or you get pulled out of a fight. That is when it crosses your mind that you don't want to fight anymore. Or you just don't want to do this anymore because it's limiting you're limiting your body, and now you're hurt. So while you're hurt, you can't do anything. You can't train. You can't go to the gym. You just have to sit here. So the whole time you're sitting here, you're just thinking, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be hurt anymore. I don't want to go train anymore. I don't want to fight anymore. I think about it a lot. But then the reason that I keep going is because when you do make it to the UFC or high PFL, Bellator, the high levels, you can fight one time and change your entire life. One fight can make you the most known person in the world for a day.
Mm. So it's basically the price of glory. Like you're going for the
you
glory.
get the money that comes with it too. So I fight for freedom.
Okay.
Right now, I don't like fighting. Everybody knows I don't like fighting. Every single person in the world knows I don't like fighting.
Right.
I fight because when I go in that cage and I beat you up, I don't have to do that again for a year. I make enough to not have to fight again for a whole year. Except now I kind of want to because I'm trying to make some different moves in life. But man, I have freedom. I don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. and get ready for work. I don't have to work 8-hour shift 5 times a week. I'm here, right in this chair every single day, doing what I want to do.
Exactly. Like you said, the price.
And I will keep fighting. I will keep fighting because of that freedom. If I had to go back to work, then I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to be even worse feeling than I am now. So I'm going to keep fighting.
Interesting. So you like just the freedom it gives to your life.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's it for the questions, and I feel like we touched on just about everything we wanted to touch on. Is there anything that you wanted to plug before we get going?
Yeah. Let me give a shout out to the people who just started to work with me. One, I can't even talk to you if it wasn't for Viral Tech. They're the ones that hooked me up with my PC, fully custom Beast Boy style. I love it. Shout out to S-Force watches, the only watches I wear right now. Shout out to Dracon Apparel. They're a new brand that I just signed with. They sponsored Charles Oliveira, so they got some big names with them. You got Beacon for my microphone. Got to give them a shout out. I don't really know. Oh, Mingo Apparel. I can't forget them. Mingo Apparel has been with me since I started fighting as a pro, and they've they stick by my side. They're one of the only people who have been with me for so long. So, big shout out to them.
Awesome, man. I just want to thank you. Thank you for the time, and I know we went over a little bit, so that's on me because we had a pretty long interview. But thank you for the time, and I appreciate the answers you've given me. And best of luck to you in your next fight whenever it gets made.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm going right now. Like I got to get off of this and go, but I'm getting my MRI. I got to get some work done, and then I'll be back February, March.
Awesome, man. I can't wait to see you then. Yeah, I'll see you then. I can't wait to see you back. And have a good one, man.
Thank you. You too.